للرجال نصيب مما ترك الوالدان والأقربون وللنساء نصيب مما ترك الوالدان والأقربون مما قل منه أو كثر نصيبا مفروضا.
In this lesson, we will study the distant relative, Dhawil Arhaam. Legal terminology. Distant blood relative, or Dhawil Arham, are all the blood relatives who are not included in the fixed heirs or residuary heirs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Dhawil Arham in Surah Al-Anfal, Surah number 8. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَأُولُو الْأَرْحَامِ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلَى بِبَعْضٍ فِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. But family members are nearer to one another in the book of Allah. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing of everything. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the maternal uncle is a heir of anyone who has no heir. He fulfills his obligations and inherits his wealth. The scholars differ in regards to the inheritance of a distant relative. Some of the ulama are on the opinion they do not have an inheritance right. In the second opinion, they have a right if there is no Baytul Mal, meaning distant relatives do not inherit with Baytul Mal, and the wealth goes to Baytul Mal. The third opinion is that they have an inheritance right. The scholars who have said they get inheritance have two approaches in order to assess who gets inheritance from the distant relative. The first approach, the closest relative to the deceased inherits and the rest are blocked. Priorities as to the way of Imam Abu Hanifa. Number 1 is the descendant, and number 2 is the ascendant. Number 3, brothers, and number 4, uncles or aunties. So if anyone from the descendants are present, meaning daughter's daughter, who's a distant relative, if descendants are present, then the rest are blocked. So if number 1, the descendants are present, number 2 and 3 and 4 are blocked. If number 1 is not there, but number 2 is there, number 2 is going to block 3 and 4, and so on. The second approach, every distant relative will take the status of a person that connects him or her to the deceased. So for example, maternal uncle or maternal aunties will have the share of the mother, and paternal auntie will have the share of the father. And this is the opinion of majority of scholars, and this is what you will practice here in this exercise. The distant relative will inherit when no close relative exists to inherit. Exception to this rule is the presence of husband and wife as a fixed heir. They do not get rid. Hence, the remaining wealth goes to the distant blood relative. Imagine we have a dead person. He has a descendant. His daughter inherits. So any descendants from a female descendant is considered to be distant relative. Thus, they do not come priority to inherit. Also, the sister inherits normally. However, any descendant from the sister is considered to be distant relative. The deceased person's brother inherits. However, any female descendant is considered to be a distant relative. The deceased person can also have an ascendant who is a distant relative. For example, here we have a diagram. Anyone that is colored in green are normal heirs, they inherit, such as your father inherits, your mother inherits, your father's sisters are your aunties. The aunties do not inherit. Your uncles inherit. Any female from your uncles are considered to be distant relative. Your mother's sisters and brothers, maternal aunties and maternal uncles are considered to be distant relative. They do not inherit. Mother's father, which is your grandfather, from the maternal side, he is considered to be a distant relative. And anyone from your maternal grandfather is considered to be a distant relative. Your grandmother inherits, or the mother's mother inherits. However, her father also doesn't inherit. Generally, the qaida is any male that comes to the mayyit or the dead person through female doesn't inherit, with the exception to the maternal brothers. Maternal brothers and sisters inherit, even though their connection is through the mother. In this table, we will know the position of the distant relative. Offspring of your daughter is treated like a daughter. Offspring of a granddaughter is treated like a granddaughter. Anyone from your maternal grandfather, maternal uncles and aunties, and so on, your mother's father, your mother's brothers and sisters is treated and will get the share of a mother. They will get the share of the mother. So everyone will inherit the share of the person that connects them to the mayyit, to the deceased person. The cases of distant relative are divided into two: a case with a spouse and case without an spouse. So a distant relative with husband or a wife, or a distant relative without husband or wife. In the case of a distant relative without a spouse, without husband or wife, it could be one person, more than one class, or more than one class but the same people or the same category of people. Example: if there is only one distant relative, he or she takes the whole estate. Here we have one distant relative, the son of a maternal brother. He is taking the entire share because this is the only distant relative that we have, and he says, I come to the deceased person through maternal brother, through the maternal brother. So he's treated like a maternal brother. Maternal brother normally gets 1/6, and now he's taking the entire estate, the remaining as well, because he's the only person. The son of a full sister normally doesn't inherit, but now he's acting like a full sister. Full sister gets half, the other half is given to her raddan. There's no other one to share with her. Example number 2. Relatives from the same lineage, closest to the deceased person or the one with the strongest connection to the deceased person, block off the further distant relatives. Example here. We have a daughter of a paternal brother and a daughter of a full brother. Both of them are considered to be distant relative. However, they have a connection to the deceased person. The daughter of a paternal brother, her connection is a paternal brother. And the daughter of a full brother, the connection is a full brother. Now the paternal brother is blocked. The full brother has a stronger connection, even though the distance here is 1. Example number 3. We have a maternal full auntie, maternal half auntie, maternal half uncle. So all of these ones are the relative of your mother. They become the status of the mother. Now we look at the relationship of these 3 with a mother. So we create a case for them. The maternal full auntie, the first one, becomes a full sister to the mother, so she's getting half of the wealth. The maternal half auntie, she is maternal sister, so she's getting 1/6. And the mother has a paternal brother, so he's getting the remaining. He's getting the residuary. Example number 4. Distant relative from different background ascend to the position of the relative which connects them to the deceased person. We have a paternal auntie and a daughter of a maternal uncle. Paternal auntie has a connection to the deceased person through the father. Maternal uncle is your mother's brother. His daughter is quite far, so she comes down to the position of a maternal uncle. So obviously here we have now a relative that inherits, and this is still distant relative. You have to move them down one position each. So when you cancel this now, she becomes a father. You cancel the daughter, become a maternal uncle. When you cancel more, it becomes a mother. In this case, we have a daughter's daughter and granddaughter's daughter. So the first one, she's moved to the status of a daughter, and the second one is moved to the status of a granddaughter. The daughter is getting half of the wealth, and the granddaughter is getting 1/6. The case is built upon 6. Half of 6 is 3, and 1/6 of 6 is 1. Now if we add this up, it becomes 4. So we cancel the 6, and the Asl al-Mas'ala changes to 4. We done this lesson in red. Distant relative with the presence of one of the spouses. In this example, we have a wife and a granddaughter, daughter's daughter. In the case when we have a spouse, husband or a wife, the case is always built upon the fractions of the wife or the husband. So we give them their share, and the remaining is divided amongst the distant relative. In this occasion, we have one granddaughter. So the granddaughter grabs the entire share. The case is built upon 4. A quarter over 4 is 1. And the granddaughter, or the daughter's daughter, is taking the remaining. Here the daughter has no effect on the wife because she is not there. It's her daughter that is in the case. If the case contains more than one distant relative and one of their spouses, we build 2 cases and combine them into one. So the first case is always built for the wife or the husband, and is always built upon either half for the husband or a quarter for the wife. In this example, we have a husband, so the husband gets his share. The case is built upon 2. He grabs half of 2, which is 1, and the remaining goes to the distant relative. Now we have to divide this remaining amongst the distant relative. We build a case for them. So the full sister's daughter becomes a full sister. The maternal brother's son becomes a maternal brother. So the full sister is grabbing half of the remaining for her distant relative, and the maternal brother is grabbing 1/6 for his distant relative. The case is built upon 6. Half of 6 is 3. 1/6 of 6 is 1. When we add this up together, it becomes 4. So we do red. We have studied the cases of red previously. Now we look at the remaining in the first case with a total share of the second case. Usually there is no division, so we swap the numbers. We take the 1 on top of the total share of the second case, and we take the 4 on top of the total share of the first case. Now we do 4 times 2 to get a new total share, and it becomes 8. And the distant relative of the full sister, we give her 1 times 3, which is 3, and the maternal brother 1 times 1, which is 1. Here we have an example of distant relative with the wife. The wife is getting a quarter now, and the remaining goes to the distant relative, which is 3. We build a case for the distant relative. We have a daughter here and a granddaughter. The daughter is getting half, and the granddaughter is getting a 1/6. The masala is built upon 6. Half of 6 is 3, and the granddaughter gets 1/6. The masala, there is a red. We reduce the case into 4 because the shares are only 4. Here we look at the relationship between the two numbers. There's no division, so we swap the numbers. We take the 4 on top of the total share of the first case, and we take the 3 on top of the total share of the second case. Now we do 4 times 4, which is 16. Now we do 4 times 1 for the wife, which is 4. And for the distant relative, we do for the daughter 3 times 3, which is 9. And then 3 times 1, which is 3. The end.